Assalamu alaikum, dear students of first year class. Today I'm going to deliver lecture on your first year chemistry book. Before these holidays, we have completed our syllabus according to the SMART syllabus. Today I am here with a topic, you can say a preparation lecture, you can say. So your paper is divided into the three parts: MCQs, short question and the long question. Today my point of concern is the short questions. If you are going to prepare these short questions properly, you will get good, inshallah you will get the good marks. Before starting my lecture, I am going to tell you something very important. During the classroom study, we have discussed short questions so many times from each chapter. Here, I have sorted some of the short questions from the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. Right? These questions are very important. I want to write here, to discuss here just a question, but I also write here the answers just for the, you can say, just if you don't understand the questions and its answers, you will get it. Just focus on your question and try to search these questions from your relevant book. If you have studied A+ notes, if you have studied Ghazali Smart Syllabus short questions, if you have learned from any book, you have to consider these books. Just focus on these questions and tally the answers from your relevant book, right? There is no need of learning again the answers of these questions from my presentation, because you have already learned from the different books. So just read out and focus on the questions. These are the important questions, right? So here the first question is: the solid organic compound is soluble in water as well as in the chloroform. During its preparation, it remains in the aqueous layer. Describe a method to obtain it from this layer. I think this question is taken from your second chapter, that is the technique chapter. We have discussed according to the SMART syllabus 3.1, for example, solvent extraction technique, sublimation and the chromatography. Here the question is taken from the solvent extraction technique. Very simple. If you have a solid, what is the solvent extraction technique? It's a very easy technique. A solid organic compound which is synthesized in the aqueous layer, you have to add the solvent in which this organic compound is more soluble as compared to this aqueous layer. So according to the distribution law, organic compound is distributed between the two layers, aqueous layer and the organic layer. We have explained there is a separating funnel in which two layers are formed, and solid organic compound is distributed in both of the layers according to the distribution law. And what is the distribution law? Distribution law says organic compound is distributed irrespective its amount remains constant in both the layers. Any amount of organic compound is going to be considered, but it is distributed in a constant ratio in both the layers. So here question is that, which here is simply, there's no need to go further. You have just to give answers. Solvent extraction technique is applied for the separation of the organic compound which is present in the aqueous layer, and it is distributed in both of the layers. So this is the very simple answers. Add some amount of the carbon tetrachloride is used in the organic layer. Separate the tetrachloride. Now at the end of the your experiment, a carbon tetrachloride will be evaporated to give the organic substances. Second question is that in the solvent extraction technique, why repeated extraction using a small amount of solvent is more efficient than using a single extraction with a large volume of solvent? As I have told you, the solvent in which the organic compound is more soluble as compared to the aqueous layer is selected. So because it follows the distribution law and the organic compound is distributed between the two layers, so the solvent being added will be in the small amount and the fresh amount, so solute will give result will be better and you can get the more product, because the solute distribute itself between the two immeasurable layer, and each and every time when the small portion of solvent is added, then the this separation is efficient and more amount of the product is extracted. The plot of PV versus P is a straight line at constant temperature and with a fixed number of the moles of an ideal gas. I think it's from the third chapter where you have studied Boyle's law, Charles' law. This one is from the Boyle's law. Boyle's law says volume is inversely proportional to the pressure, keeping the temperature and the number of moles same. By keeping the constant temperature and number of the moles, when you have to plot a graph between the pressure on axis and the PV on the y-axis, product of the product or the pressure and volume, you say the straight line is going to be appeared at the constant. If there is a higher temperature, volume is also increases and value of product is going to be increased, PV, but it should try to remain constant according to this ratio. In your chapter, you have studied 3 graphs. This one is the third one's graphs. This is solved according the example where the answer will be the same 2, 2. You have done it when the pressure is 2 atmospheric pressure, 4 atmospheric pressure, and the volume is going to be decreased according to half 1/3, and the result is always the PV always remains the constant. Example, and this example shows this graph. If you are increasing the temperature, if you at the result of this, pressure will be volume will also be increased, and PV increase, but due to the increase of volume and the same pressure, PV will be remains constant according to it. This is another Charles law. What's the Charles law? Volume is directly proportional to the temperature. If you increase the temperature, volume is also increasing by keeping the pressure constant. What is the 1/273 in the 273 Celsius scale? You know there is two temperature. There is two temperatures, and one is the Celsius scale and other one is the Kelvin temperature. If you have to draw a graph between the volume and the temperature, I said temperature is directly proportional to volume. If you have to increase the temperature, volume is increased. But if you are taking the temperature in the Celsius scale, right, it's according to a graph, temperature is in the Celsius scale, not in the temperature, in the Kelvin. What happened? The graph straight line, the line is not with the 0, but it touch at the -273 Celsius scale. It means the -273 is a minimum temperature where gas volume becomes 0. In but this is not happening for the real gases. But if you are taking the temperature in the Kelvin, that it obeys the Charles law according to the Kelvin temperature, because there is no need of extrapolation of graph as in the Celsius scale. It is directly line is obtained. So what happened? Because if you are taking the temperature in Celsius scale at the -273 is the coldest temperature, is the minimum coldest temperature where the volume of the gas becomes a 0. In real cases, for the real gases, there is no 0 volume, so it's a theoretical temperature. It's a theoretical temperature, and it is called as the you can say it's a theoretical temperature. There is no for the real gases. So all about the point you can write under this question about the Second is fifth, do you think that 1 mole of hydrogen and 1 mole of ammonia and at the atmospheric pressure will have the Avogadro's number of the particles? Very simple. If you are taking the gases, 1 mole of hydrogen, 1 mole of ammonia, and temperature pressure will be the same, it occupies the same volume of 22.414 liter. So both of these gases, because they have the same number of moles, they have the number of the Avogadro's properties. How you can explain that plasma as a whole is neutral? You know, plasma is created due to the ionization of gases. So it's the mixture of the ions, electrons, neutral atoms. Although the plasma is a good conductor due to its electrons, mobile electrons, but the plasma as a whole is neutral because the number of the ions and the electrons are going to be equal. So as a whole it is considered neutral. Justify that 1 centimeter cube of hydrogen and CH4 will have the same number of molecules. This is the question, will be the same according to the Avogadro's law. Equal volume of all the gases at the same temperature and the pressure contains the equal number of the molecules. What does it mean? If they have the same number of moles, they occupy the same space of the 22.414. Either CH4 is 8 times heavier than of the hydrogen, but it has the same number of the molecules, that is 6.02 multiple 10 raised to power 3. In the hydrogen bond structure of HF, which is the stronger bond, shorter covalent or longer hydrogen bond? How much longer hydrogen bond, but it's not stronger than covalent ionic bond because it's related to the intermolecular forces, and it's not as much stronger as compared to the covalent bond. So in HF, shorter covalent bond is much stronger than it. Water and ethanol, both of their, water is a polar, ethanol is non-polar. Like dissolves like, polar dissolves in the polar, and non-polar dissolves in the non-polar. But here, polar and non-polar. Polar is what? Water, and non-polar is ethanol. Mix in all the proportions. Why? Due to the hydrogen bonding. It's very easy. In the cold winter wishes, this is very important question. We have discussed so many times in our classroom. What happened if you decrease the as the temperature of water decreases, right? And its volume increases, it floats on the surface of the water, it is behaving just like insulator and cannot allow the heat exchanges with the surrounding. In this way, the water in the depth of ponds and lakes remains warm and fishes alive. Sodium is softer than copper because both are good conductors of electricity. For the conduction of electricity, there is need of mobile electrons. So sodium has less number of delocalized mobile electrons as compared to the copper. Copper has a strong metallic bond and mobile electron, so it is better conductor of electricity as compared to the sodium. Diamond is a hard and electrical insulator. Diamond, you know, carbon is sp3 hybridized and all the 4 corners are occupied. There is no mobile electron for the conduction of electricity. That's why there is no free electrons, so it is behaving just like a insulator. Same is the case. So sodium chloride and cesium chloride have different structures due to the difference of the coordination number. Coordination number of sodium is 6 while the cesium is 8. So that's why NaCl has face-centered cubic structure and cesium chloride has the body-centered structures. So they have the different structure. Iodine dissolves readily in the tetrachloromethane. Both the iodine and the tetrachloromethane, as I have explained about, like dissolves like. So both of them are the non-polar and easily dissolves in both of them as compared to the water. So we can say iodine dissolved in the tetrachloromethane. Cleavage of crystal is itself anisotropic behavior in nature, right? What is the anisotropic behavior? Crystal having the different intensity of the property. They show the different properties in different direction. Cleavage is understood isotropic property because in this case crystals have the specific cleavage plane and it can be cut only in that plane. Otherwise it cannot be easily cut. So that's why we can say it shows the anisotropic behavior. These are just the 15 questions which I have sorted. In my next lectures, I will sort out any other paper with a lot of with a 15 more short questions. You just focus on the questions and try to read its answer from your book, which you are going to study. So these are very important questions are repeatedly.